This episode is a real treat. We have Eddy Guerra from Davidoff. He heads up marketing over there for not just Davidoff, but Avio and Camacho cigars. We're not just talking cigars. We are. But we're also talking about marketing lifestyle brands. How do you do it? How does a brand become a lifestyle brand? What's the psychology behind it? What is some of those obstacles that get in the way? And what are also those places where you need to double down to really drive it home? You know, how do you tap into that consumer? Some of the things that we've learned in our experience in our career. I hope you enjoy this one. Man, do you hear that? Look at here. They're coming. They're coming. We're going to have a party. I'm talking good old barbecue. Hey guys, welcome to today's Old Boy Podcast with my buddy Eddy Guerra. Eddy is the head of brand marketing at Davidoff, along with other things. So we're going to be talking cigars, we're going to be talking events. And one thing I think you're going to enjoy, because we both have a background in it, is how do you build a lifestyle around a brand? They've done it at Davidoff. And I've been at Traeger most of the time as we've been building out that lifestyle brand, and also been able to, be a participant in other brands that have done similar. Yeti, we'll get into that. But Eddy, thanks so much for making the time today, bud.
Oh man, thank you for having me on the show. Super pumped about this. I'm excited. Feel like it's gonna be a good time chopping it up.
Absolutely. So Eddy and I are I would say, relatively newly found friends. We had an opportunity through some of the cool stuff he's doing with some of the cigar brands to get some Traegers in his hands and some classes we're going to do for some people. And, it's going to, and some seasonings. And so just as we were talking, I found out that Eddy's got a passion about barbecue and cigars and spirits and how all those need to tie in for an amazing experience. And we spent the day together a couple of weeks ago over at y'all's office, which was amazing. You have never seen a humidor this freaking big, folks. I can't, think of the biggest warehouse you've ever been in, and half of it's a humidor. You told me some crazy number of how many sticks were in there, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing to actually believe the millions of cigars we have climate controlled perfectly and hold in there. It's an impressive place, man. I get blown away.
It's really cool.
Time,
and you guys had just really moved in, right?
Yeah, well, we've been there. We just redid the entire place.
Got it.
So we took the opportunity of, work from home during COVID to kind of well, everyone's out of the office right now. Let's kind of redo it all from the ground up. So, I mean, you got to see it all freshly done.
Yes. And what better way to get people hey, we're going back to work. And you're coming to this brand new, beautiful office, same bones, but whole hell of a lot different. And it was cool, man. I liked the kind of chill break room area you guys had. Obviously the warehouse was awesome, but the other thing I got was, your team. Your team just had a really, really good energy, and it was one of those things. We started talking about concepts, and it's you weren't oh man, we'll set a meeting to talk about that. It's hold on, let me go get this guy down the hall. We'll figure it out and try to get it rolling right now. You know what I mean? I loved kind of the mission critical, and that there's we're here to take care of commerce, whether it be 3 p.m. on Sunday or 6 a.m. Monday morning and everywhere in between.
Yeah, it's a very unique atmosphere. I want to say that most of us in the office are actually close personal friends, outside of work, which kind of makes all of our wives hate us because everything turns into work. But, what happens with that is we're all just for lack of better words, a group of killers, man. And we always want to kind of figure it out. And as professional as we are, we're also very not professional. So it's easy for me to be hey, Scotty, I know you're in the middle of something, dude. Let's talk about this. I think we may be able to jump on this and crush it really quick.
Yeah.
And that helps us out a lot because we're very agile when it comes to doing things and aggressive.
And I think that's interesting too, because you look and Davidoff's a huge established brand, and usually as brands get bigger and more people, some of that agility and flexibility goes away. But it seems like in what you guys do and what you control, it's all still there, because I think that's also a big aspect of making a brand a lifestyle brand. Like your people inside that are setting the tone have to be brand authentic, or else it doesn't work.
100%. I mean, with anything, I believe that we do, I believe you have to be the customer first, right?
Mhm.
And we're all customer first, and that can be cut into so many layers, because we do wholesale, so we do sell to retailers, right? The retailers are also our customers, but we also have to be consumers. And just because we get, and when I say consumers, like go out and spend money and buy cigars. We smoke free cigars. That doesn't make us consumers, but
Mhm.
like spend the time, stop at a whiskey bar, pick up a drink, go grab some smoke somewhere, like stop and enjoy, spend the money, know what it's like, and which I'm sure we'll get into it later. But if you live the lifestyle circle of wherever your product belongs, you understand how to make decisions and pivot rapidly to where you can make things that resonate with your consumer like quickly. And it's a pretty cool thing to do. And it's cool that we've cultivated this atmosphere in the office. It's like that. I mean, when you have a 2,000 square foot cigar lounge in the middle of the building, it helps. There's a
It's a
lot of
vibe. It's a
conversation.
vibe.
It's definitely a vibe, and it's unique, man. But yeah, I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. It's kind of what led us into our relationship. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm certainly the guy in the building that does the barbecue and all the weekends, so everyone comes over my place. And so when I'm pitching ideas of like, hey, I want to give away a bunch of Traegers and I want to do a barbecue tour.
Yeah.
Because even though it has nothing to do with cigars, it has everything to do with
Everything.
cigars.
Yeah. Absolutely,
Yeah.
because that's broadening that market, right? There's only so
Right.
much advertising and stuff you can take in Cigar Aficionado and all those type of
Mm-hmm.
publications and kind of traditional marketing, if you will. But then when you start looking at and one of the things me and you have talked about is people spend money on experiences, memories, and events. But because
100%.
usually it's very hard to replicate, right? It's a one and done, and
That's right.
so many people just want to experience and just be a part of it. And if you grab one person, or a person that has interest in, the three things we kind of laid out, cigars, barbecue, and spirits, you find somebody that really enjoys and considers herself a above average, splurger of those things, they're going to be all about learning about this third thing, whether it be barbecue, whether it be cigars, or whether, well, some people may not want to worry about spirits. They're missing out on a hell of a time. But that to me is like what's cool about lifestyle and branding a brand and doing different things is creating those experiences. I say on the podcast all the time, one of my probably my favorite part of the job of being a barbecue guy is teaching. Like I just enjoy it because people are coming in, they want to learn. It's an experience. They're getting better. They're sharing their results with you afterwards. It's just super, super fulfilling.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I guess mine as well. When we're putting together experiences, I do a lot of seminars. When you do them in a cigar shop, it's awesome, right? I
Mm-hmm.
get to talk about the product and like it really is awesome. However, when I go to a place that has nothing to do with cigars, last week I was in Las Vegas for the Universal Whiskey Experience, which was an awesome weekend, just filled with brown water. And I got to do a pairing tasting seminar with Richard Patterson, the guy they call the Nose from the Dalmore, which was an amazing experience. But to sit in a room with him and 40 people that really just went there to listen to him, and then all of a sudden the cigar guy comes out, and to be able to speak to people on how to taste, how to enjoy the way cigars are made, and how to pair with whiskey in that environment, it's like you're talking to people with a like blank palate, and it's pure education all the way across, and like the gratitude that you receive from people for that is amazing. It's my favorite thing to do. You know what I mean? So it's
and to get to share the stage with someone like that you've looked up to and admired, like it's amazing, right?
that was when I used to live in Asia, I really got obsessed with single malts, and all I had as was Google and YouTube, and I used to follow this guy on YouTube, and he was like the funniest guy. He had millions of views, and I've always wanted to meet him, and I never thought in a million years I'd ever be able to meet him. And I guess you just keep pushing hard at work, and somehow, some way, the stars aligned, and that moment became available, and I jumped on it.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, and it was really radical actually to meet the guy and to find out that he was super, super, super humble. And he probably asked the most questions out of everybody in the room, which kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah,
because it was almost like I was training him, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And that was a very special time for me, at least.
Yeah, I know. I always go back to. I had the opportunity to cook with Rogan a couple of times, and
right.
Joe, like, once again, like this guy that's like a subject, but I mean, very, very well versed on so many things, right? But like the couple of days he was helping me cook, it was like the couple of times he did, it was like he had so many questions, and they came from like such a genuine place. You know what I mean? Like, just super inquisitive, just wanting to understand. And I'm like, okay, this is what makes these people great at their discipline. They are receiving more than they're transmitting in areas where they don't feel like they're a subject matter expert.
I mean, 100%. It's pretty radical, actually.
Yeah. And it just makes you, if you can do that, it just makes you more rounded, by the time you're done with all those different experiences and all these different people crossing your paths through this, game of life.
It's funny, man. We get to put together these experiences for people, and that, I want to say, that in itself is kind of like an art form.
Sure.
Right. And to kind of put that together, you got to understand the life cycle, or the circle, the ecosystem of the brands that you work with, and then what fits in the lifestyle sector, right? So I personally just happen to be a barbecue guy, right? So I know we like Jeeps, we like whiskey, you know what I mean? We like outdoors activities, we like hunting, we love cigars. And then, like, once you start figuring all these things out, so you can start like curating these experiences on what's it like when you walk into a room, what you want people to see, hear, feel, smell, taste, but you do it like from you got to do it like as a customer in a very genuine point of view first, to where it's like real and humble.
And be willing to be critical of it. You know what I mean? Like, be critical of yourself and what you're putting together while you're going through that phase too.
Without a doubt. I mean, I'm not the coolest person in the room, right? So I got to know where I'm completely wrong too. So, like, you got to make sure you surround yourself with good people and kind of figure that all out and put it all together. And man, magic always happens, man. And I can imagine, God, I can't even imagine what it must have been like to create an experience like that for Rogan.
Yeah. And no, it was super neat, and it didn't take much. We just went out and killed some elk, and then he tagged out early. So we just had some time to cook. He's like, man, I just want to be the camp cook with you today. I'm like, well, let's go, let's do it. And just a cool time. One of the things I want to talk about a little bit is your background, because I think one of the things that makes you as strong as you are in this role is, you come from a hospitality management background. You come from a family that's been, in the restaurant, in the hospitality business. Talk a little bit about, how you're raised, what you've experienced. I know you spent some time, living in different parts of the world. Just a little bit of what's made and kind of rounded you out to get here and put you in this spot.
Yeah, cool, man. It's really a weird story, because I should have never been in the cigar business, but at the same time, I guess I should have been, because here I am. But, my family and I, like, we're raised incredibly humble. My parents arrived from Cuba in 1958. So they left like right before things got hairy over there. And, my dad came with literally 15 cents in his pocket. My mother came with her parents, like my grandparents, very young. And, they got married and they figured things out the old school Catholic, Republican, Cuban way. That's just the way we were. And my dad worked 3 jobs until he, got things rolling, and he was able to build an incredible life to where he was running the Republican Party for the entire state of Florida at one point in time. Like,
Wow.
it's just like a crazy story. He was a mayor of our city for 16 years. And then from there, we were all raised like in all boy private high schools, like Catholic boys high schools, and just very, very militant, really, to be quite honest. And somehow, some way, I'm the youngest of 4 boys, and my brothers all got into nightlife in Miami, which is like the thing to do. And, through hard work and the grace of God, we ended up opening up venues, and we all got heavily involved with my parents going, oh, Jesus, this is not what we raised you to do. But they raised us right,
Yeah. We thought one of you boys would be a doctor.
Nah, man, everybody just went into, and we were all just outgoing people. So we figured it out, and it went from like throwing parties as kids to like running nightclubs as men and then buying them eventually. And it turned into like huge. We've owned, 30, 40 places in Miami over the past 30 years.
Wow.
Restaurants, now building a hotel, nightclubs, beach clubs. I eventually was working not with my family, but like in the same business, because I was as the youngest. I was like, I'm trying to prove myself, right? So I went and I started working with this company called Nikki Beach, which is a luxury lifestyle beach club company. It started in Miami, then I went into south of France, and then I went to St. Bart's, and then all over Europe. And it was like a super luxury company. And I became their global marketing director. They relocated me to Thailand to open up like their first hotel chains that they were building. And that, I believe, was very instrumental for me to understand truly what lifestyle marketing was, because they were never, while it was a high-end luxury hotel and beach club, they never wanted to create parties, even though everything was about parties and champagne. It was literally about like, hey, how do we partner up with Ferrari for F1 Singapore and we take over their whole area? And we don't make any money off of that. I mean, our venue's in another country. We're not selling booze there, but it was learning about how to place your brand along with other brands to almost like, if you think of a party and every brand is one of the cool kids, how am I one of the cool kids too? Because I got to be invited to that party, and eventually somebody's going to talk to me. I just got to be accepted by that circle. And that kind of set the stage for me in everything I do now. I eventually running the hotels. So how I ended up in the cigar business, we only had Cuban cigars available in Thailand. There was no non-Cuban importers, and so they had the monopoly, and they didn't do wholesale. And I just wanted an amenity for my guests. And I used to tell them, like, I would call the importer and be like, fuck you, man. Like, I need to make some money on this. I'm not going to buy a ton, but I need to make some money on this.
Yeah.
They kept telling me no. But I grew up in Miami we're all like the big manufacturers kid. We all went to the same private high school. We're all Cubans. So I was like, I'm going to make some calls back home. And I was just calling people and big brands, and everyone was like, yeah, we'll help you out, Eddie, but like, we need you to buy more than 1 or 2 boxes. And I was just trying to put shit in my humidor at a hotel. So they're like, if you're going to be sending stuff to Thailand, you got to file for proper importation license, tobacco laws, XYZ. And I was like, all right, I'll figure it out. And I'm at like a hotel association meeting. And at the end of the meeting, when they're like, hey, any comments? I was like, oh yeah. I know none of us really care, but we all want to provide amenities for our guests. So I could get cigars at half the price. Fuck these people. You know what I mean? Like, we just need to do a group buy.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing. Like, I wasn't, and everybody was, for the general consensus was like, it sounds like a lot of work. If you buy it, we'll just buy it off you. And I was like, all right, cool. I left and I'm driving home. And then I was like, wait a minute. I think I just got a verbal commitment from 90 hotels that would buy cigars off me. I was like, man, I think I got a business.
I just started a side hustle, old boy.
Yeah, and it was great. It's because we were trained to market and work very different here in America. And when you're in Asia, like they can't handle Americans, man. Like we run circles around them. So I knew instantaneously, like, all right, let me figure this out. And I started importing the cigars. I met another American who had a business out of Bangkok. I was originally in an island, and he helped me with the whole process. And it turned into, he was like, hey, you know how to open up a bar? I was like, I've been opening up bars my whole life. And he was like, let's open up a cigar whiskey bar. And I was like, I don't think you're ready for that. It's going to be serious. And we did it. I left my job. And it was like, I was living on the American dream outside of the America. Like, it was weird. And we, in a matter of 3 years, we opened up 7 locations. It was like of all whiskey and cigar bars all around Bangkok and the islands of Thailand. And it was like monstrous. And I became the largest importer and distributor of non-Cuban cigars in Southeast Asia. And I was bringing in everything from Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, and Honduras. And it was like, I was like full-fledged into the cigar business. I was like, I'm the cigar guy now and the whiskey guy now. But like, I wasn't, I was just doing it as a hospitality perspective.
Sure.
Right? Because everything is hospitality. So, and I don't think I was ever going to move home. I was living in paradise. Essentially, he's making more money than I ever seen. And then the military overthrew the government, and like I was like the world stopped for me.
Wow.
I was like, I don't know anything about this. We don't have this back home.
We don't have this
what
unrest.
Do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like seeing tanks go down the street, like you're just like, And for me, all I kept in the back of my brain, you can imagine the way I was raised. I mean, I always had parents that was like, hey, we left Cuba at a very young age, right? Military's overthrowing governments, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you got. You need to sell everything and come home. And that's what I did, really. Came home, kind of started from scratch again, but I was home, so that's all that mattered. It's a very weird thing for me because
you guys
I don't think
on top of the world over there to coming back and kind of like, okay, where do I go next?
Yeah, but we take a lot of things for granted here, man. Let me tell you something. Like, and I was raised with parents that kind of always told me, like, you don't know how lucky you are being born here. You don't understand it because you're just born here, right? It wasn't really until I lived over there and like this shit happened. You couldn't even have an opinion. And I never knew what that meant. Like, what do you mean you can't have an opinion? Like, if you were to publicly talk about like, yo, the king, he's fucked up. Like, they will come to your house, no questions asked, lock you up for 14 years.
Jesus.
So you couldn't have opinions. And when you say, well, who would tell? Anybody could tell. He could be kicking somebody's ass in business. That guy doesn't like you. He could just go to the police and be like, hey, this guy's talking smack about the royal family, right? True, not true, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Like, and you could Google this about like their draconian laws over there. But like, so when I came home, I was like, wow, how awesome is it to be back home?
You actually felt freedom.
Yeah, and like, I've never had to feel that before because I was always free, right? Like, born and raised here, blessed. But like, then I remember I said, everyone I told, like for the first like 6 months, everyone that I had kids that I knew, I was like, yo, send your kids away for a year, bro. Send your kids away for a year. That way they appreciate this shit. because we're all spoiled and we're all fucked up. I was kind of like a weird preacher about that. And then, so I got very fortunate. So now I'm back home. My family's like, hey, let's open up some cigar lounges together. You want to keep on doing it? And I got approached by an amazing cigar company that said, no, you should come run marketing for us. And we're going to teach you. You already know retail. You already know all that stuff. But we're going to teach you how to build products from the ground up and how to design products, but do it from your mindset. And I approached it from like essentially from like a beverage industry mindset, because I was working with so many beverage companies in the bars. I understood activations. I understood lifestyle activations, but no other cigar company understood that. They were always just, hey, we smoke cigars. Let's sit on a leather chair.
Yeah.
Cool.
Call it good.
Yeah. And it's cool, but like, that's it. Right.
Yeah.
But it's just a sea of that. So I figured, I was like, well, how do I change the game? And, I was very grateful for the company. The company at the time was Gurkha, right?
Mm-hmm.
They taught me packaging. They gave me a platform, and that platform got me recruited. And I ended up becoming the head of marketing for Monte Cristo and Romeo Julieta in the United States, which was monstrous.
Yeah.
And that gave me a platform with budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which taught me a lot. And then from there, I was very, very, very fortunate. The pinnacle of tobacco, which is Davidoff. I mean, it's the end all be all company, but they own two other brands, which is Camacho and Avo. And for me, it was a blessing to be recruited by them, because it's like they gave me 3 different playgrounds, and I have the opportunity to run the marketing in all of them.
And they're all marketed different, all with different target audiences, which, talk about
100%.
Those experiences in life that make you more well-rounded. That is definitely one of them.
Right. So while Davidoff is super finesse and prestige, Camacho, it's like very like blue collar, rugged, like man's man.
Oh boy,
bold.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of, it's what I identified with the most, because I was like, oh shit, well, this is me, right? Like we'd go on like packs of Harleys to events. Like it was just very weird. While everybody else is wearing like Cuban Guayaveras at cigar events, like we're rolling up and we're like lighting fires, and we're doing arm wrestling competitions. And it's just such a wild experience. And we've kind of been able to crush the cigar market that way, in terms of like all the cigar shops and cigar bars. Man, and my whole thing now moving forward was like, cool, what's next? Right? Next is let's go to the rest of America, and let's insert ourselves into like all these other lifestyles. And that essentially led me to you, right? I like a lot of people, and I'm very obsessive about learning. Like I want to learn. I'm into barbecuing. I was into Cuban barbecuing. That's how I was raised. That led me into Argentine style. Like I was inspired by Francis Malman and open fire cooking. And then I went down that path for a long time. And then I got into the whole like, well, I love brisket. I know some pit masters. Like it's time for me to take my shit up to the next level. And I don't know. I probably watched thousands of hours of YouTube. Which I believe is the best teacher in the planet. Yeah. And through that, I'm looking at the YouTube algorithm. Every time a commercial comes up, it's like, it's telling me like, oh, Jeep, Contender boats. And I'm like, fucking A, bro. The algorithm of YouTube gets it. It's marketing the lifestyle. And I'm like, I need to insert my stuff into this lifestyle. Absolutely. And then I'm like, and if it's not, it can't just be me, right? Like if I'm thinking this way, whoever smokes my cigars, they all gotta love Traegers, right? Like they all gotta love barbecue. Like it only kind of makes sense. And whoever doesn't know about my cigars but actually loves barbecue probably is not going to be upset if I show up to a barbecue event and start handing out cigars. It's probably all going to work out. Yeah. So after watching you on film, I was obsessed with Meat Church, and I saw you come on Meat Church and that whole episode, and well, you did a bunch of them, but that's how I started watching you, and it turned into like, I got to figure out how to get a hold of these guys, and here we are today.
All right, guys, proud sponsor of the show, 5-9 Whiskey. You will see me enjoying this from time to time during the podcast. It is delicious, smooth. I've shared it with a ton of friends, and all they want to know is, where can I get it? Built for the tradesman that's put in that long day's work, and when it's over, they want to sit down with a nice whiskey, enjoy those wins from the day, and get ready for the next one. Where can you get it? 5-9 Whiskey. That's spelled out, 59whiskey.com. Don't forget about the promo code, enter Old Boy Podcast for 15% off. And the funny part is, I'm terrible. I go through these phases of being great at answering DMs and being terrible at it. And I was in one of the terrible phases, and my buddy Josh Hoagland, Hoagie, love you. He's like, hey, man, I got this DM from this guy that works at Davidoff and Camacho. He's like, he wants to talk about some grills and doing some things together. I'm like, dude, let's do it. And I just asked Josh at that point, because Josh, too, from hanging out, like, he's such a cigar aficionado. You know what I mean? Like total nerd of the game.
Yeah, and he's big.
And so
I didn't expect that.
I was like, dude, do you just want to run with this and just kind of keep me posted? And he's like, oh, man, I would love to. And then you and him hit it off, and it's like, hey, we're going to see Eddie and da-da-da-da. And no, and it's great. We got it all done, and it's working well. And it's cool, too, like just finding the opportunities to where people come into your life and you go, man, this is just a good fit. This is somebody I need to be around. I know I can learn from. I think they can learn from me, and we both get better from it. You know what I mean? And the two brands get better from it.
Dude, yeah, 100%. And whatever the impact that will happen from that, it's actually going to be very interesting. I believe we can impact a lot of people.
I do too.
With all the fun stuff that we do, because, if we're participating in events today, I mean, you're talking about everything. Like, dude, you're going to be doing a barbecue class for 50 of our winners.
Yeah.
But like the first thing you're going to do is, for example, if you're going to be talking about trimming a brisket, right? Well, we're going to cook brisket today, guys. So grab your knife. Well, what knife do I use?
Yep.
Boom. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find a knife person, right?
Yep.
Number two, who's like, and the impact of that and what that does for brands. And then people will start researching and like, oh shit. Well, you say Dow Strong. Let me research them. They start researching. They start going into like that whole world. It's such a interesting thing to see, like the journey of a person in their brain when they start liking things,
Yes.
So it's like the human algorithm.
Well, it's almost like an ecosystem, right? Like this leads to this, which leads to you know what I mean? It's really interesting because, like you said, then all right, well, oh man, I really like barbecue. Now I need to find a food warmer because I'm cooking for 10, 15 friends, and I don't have enough oven space or this. Okay. Well, here's the options, and it just kind of grows and grows and grows. Or, hey, I'm outside, cooking all the time. I need nicer lawn furniture because I got people hanging out outside all the time. It kind of just grows its own legs, if you will, once people really get bought into one of those passions.
Well, I mean, literally, my bank account says the exact same thing, right? everything you just mentioned. Fuck, I'm cooking for a lot of people. Man, I need a food warmer.
Yep.
Gotta get a food warmer.
Yep.
Or do I just get a new oven? Obviously, wife is like, get a new oven, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, man, we're having a lot of people come over the house. Man, we need new patio furniture. Got new patio furniture, right? Yep. And then it was, well, we have a lot of people around the fire pit. What's a good fire? Fuck, Solo Stove. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. I last year I did something with Camacho and Solo Stoves, right? Because it's all it's all this, right? Like it's all our lifestyle, and it's even down to like the music we listen to, the fucking brands of clothes we wear, the people we decide to support, and everything we do in life, like the whiskey you drink. I mean, fuck, everything. It's so wild how it happens. And I, as a marketer, to be able to actually, I feel like I've unlocked the key in my career, which is like, oh, now I know how to make things work. Because like school will teach you like, this is how you market, but the reality is I feel like everything becomes so technical,
Yes.
and we forget to be humans.
Yes.
And if you're human,
I also feel like that same exact reasoning is why we've seen a boom in bourbon, whiskey, and cigars, at least from things that I care about. Like, I feel like they were always talked about, especially when you got into the high end stuff. It was always talked about in such a sophisticated or snooty type of way. You know what I mean? Whereas now I feel like it's explained much more to the common man. You know what I mean? Like to the old boy to understand, no, here's why this bourbon's better than that. Or here's the difference between this one and that one. And it doesn't have to be all over the top. It can just be, and brands have done a good job of explaining that in their marketing, in their events, and in those times that they can captivate a consumer. They will actually talk about, demystify it a bit and make it more approachable. That's probably the right way to say it.
Yeah. That is absolutely the right way to say it. And it's really, I feel like in my line of work, at least, when you think of cigar lounges or you think of the cigar culture as is, it's, if anybody's ever been to a cigar lounge that's listening, will get this, but it is the ultimate equalizer. It is the ultimate thing to make anything approachable. Because the second you walk into the doors and you light up a cigar, all labels, all titles, everything fades away, and everybody is just a human being smoking a cigar. I mean, I've been in rooms where I've seen an NBC executive sitting next to him is somebody who works in waste management at the ground level. Sitting next to him is a police officer. Sitting next to him is most certainly a drug dealer. Sitting next to them is just like a couple of people, but everybody in the same room at the same time. No one gives a shit. Everybody knows what everybody does, but it's almost like everybody's instantaneously humbled.
Yep.
And we're all just dudes. And that's why we call ourselves like brothers of the leaf, right? Like you're just kind of there because you have this common passion for something and this common enjoyment. And it's the great equalizer. And I feel like so many problems in the world would be solved if we all just smoked a cigar together and hung out.
And then just chilled out and just got everything on a level playing field where, like you said, ego, everybody's humble and just talk through opinions. And the other thing is like different walks of life. Like the walk you've taken in life has so much, the majority of what to do with how the lens you view life through. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, it's really a fascinating thing. And like, I believe that and food are like, because everybody wants to eat good too. Like no one wants to eat shitty. So like you could kind of like go through that same route and sit at a table with a bunch of people and like just things are cool.
Yeah.
And it teaches you so much about everything and about culture and literally if you apply that to like business, like you will win.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be disciplined enough to work, obviously, but you will win.
I agree. And there's one thing you brought up in your background that I've never had the opportunity with somebody that's an expert in it, experienced it, but like the psychology of how to have a successful nightclub in a place like Miami, where there's so many options. Like, and when people come to South Beach, they're prepared to party till 6 a.m. You know what I mean? Like that's what a large subset of people when they go to South Beach, especially if it's around a big, Super Bowl, F1 race, anything like that. Like how one in the way that you build and design, like what's the top 3 to 5 things that when you're looking at, because the other thing is too, and I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know, you'll see some of these nightclubs that are on top for 2.5 years. And then dude, it just takes a fucking nosedive, bro. How do you when you're laying it out and trying to figure out like, how do you try to design to keep that longevity, or do you just know it's kind of an in and out thing and you just have to listen to your timing?
I think it's both. It depends on your approach, right? I mean, there are locations that like, hey man, this is going to be a 5-year pump and dump because we know the real estate. We don't own it.
Yep.
And then there's, I want to say one of the most famous nightclubs in the planet. My family owned in Miami we sold it in year 16.
What was it?
It's called Club Space. So it was the 24-hour liquor license, which that clearly gave us an advantage over everybody. But honestly, it's the same thing answer I'm going to tell you with work. Every experience. So you got to understand that a nightclub, every night you put on an experience for people. And every experience is an onion, man. It's got layers and layers and layers and layers to it, right? So you got to understand the layers of people and where they come from. How do you get them into that room to enjoy? Because nobody wants to walk into an empty place.
No.
Period. So you're so if we're gonna think of like the first group of people, like the masses, if you have a big place, you got to figure out a way to get them in there. And there's incentivizing on getting people through the door to like kind of fill up the pit, if you will, right? And then from there, you got to understand, and a lot of that may be, dude, I've put the right entertainment, right? Whether it's a DJ or a band, but it can't just be DJs and band. Like, man, do you have fucking acrobats? Do you have people, dancers dancing? Like, it's got to be oohs and ahs from every second you walk in, because essentially you are creating a false sense of reality for everybody that walks in through that door. That's
actually a great comment, a false sense of reality. And I got to think, when you're starting those, build out and lighting has to be, I mean, so paid attention to, and probably one of your larger investments.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, lighting and sound is probably the two largest investments. Yep. Yeah, and it's it's massive. And then it's Broadway every night. So how do you build that false sense of reality? And then how do you subconsciously convince everybody, like, all that money you earned all week, you're gonna leave it with me in the next 5 hours? And I'm not a casino, right? I'm gonna create an atmosphere for you that, whether it's, you know, if you're a single dude, like, I'm gonna make sure that I have deals with every modeling agency in the city where all their girls get to come in and drink for free, because I'm gonna have this place a ratio to 3 women for every guy, because that guy's gonna spend money for 9 women. He's gonna do it all night, and they come for free, they party for free. The dude has a blast spending all the money on him, and then the next thing you know, that creates 20 more dudes that want to do exactly what he wants to do. So like, you're building the next layer of like VIP customers that are like adding like serious dollar per capita to the bill.
He flies back the next day to New York City, and he tells all the guys at his hedge fund, bro, next time you get drawn down to Miami, you friggin' got to go here.
Yeah.
And then, awesome place, nothing but dimes. We got to roll.
Yeah. And then you got to understand how to provide, like, actually the products that they want. You know, it's not about like, hey, let me serve you cheap shit. You know, like, you got to understand the persona that's actually there doing that. So I need to make sure I have in inventory the products that they need. The margins are ridiculous because, you know, you're selling a bottle of Tito. All right, we all know the cost of Tito's, right? Tito's cost so $15-20, but we're selling it to you for $500. You know.
Yep. Because
you better make that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but like that $500, boy, better come with some great service. You know what I mean? Like, so the waitress that's dropping it off better be a 10. You know what I mean? Plus, the service is like, you don't have to think about anything. They're pouring you and all your friends drinks. Before you even ask a question, they already have the things there for you. Like, the answer is yes. What's next? Like, you don't even got to ask anything, you know? So it's literally that. It's also how to serve those people to make them feel so excited that they want to keep on going and keep on having a good time. And how to, like, what's really a big key is, like, if you're working in that side of the industry, like, sobriety is important.
Yes.
While everyone's having fun, you know, you got to make sure that, I mean, you're there to run a business.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of smoke and mirrors in that aspect. But if you constantly deliver incredible service and an incredible product in a room full of like oohs and ahs, all you got to do is work incredibly hard on your future programming. And you're working, like, when you're talking about big DJs, sometimes you're booking them a year in advance. So like, you're scaling these calendars, you know, every week. and it's a lot of work to your programming is done to where like, man, the machine never stops. It's a beast. And what happens is, and why you see a lot of places close down is a lot of people want to be cool and own a nightclub, but that doesn't mean that they're nightlife business people.
Yes.
You may have a lot of hedge fund guys. You may have people that are successful businessmen in all walks of life. And they're like, I know business. I'm going to do this. And they're getting robbed left and right by their staff.
Yeah.
So while you see the place busy, then it closes down. But like, if you know how to operate, it's the same thing as a restaurant. If you know how to, if you're a real restaurant operator, you make money.
Yes.
There's a lot, but 90% of restaurant operators aren't real operators. They all lose money, and they'll keep it open for 5 years out of pride because they can't fail, but they just bleed bank accounts.
Yep.
You know, and it's really, with anything you do in life, there's no secret sauce. There's no secret recipe. Everything is fucking hard work.
Yeah. Damn straight.
It just is what it is. I was having this conversation the other day with a guy who has an incredibly successful actually barbecue restaurant. He does Texas craft barbecue in South Florida. And he's like trying to open up his second one. And he was just like, man, because if I hired this person, if I hired that person, I looked down, I was like, buddy, you know what it's going to take? The amount of hard work and pain it took you to open up that first one, you're going to do it all over again.
Well, and this one's going to even be harder unless that's where he plans on going and doing his day-to-day, because he's got to trust, at least at the first one, if that's where he stays, he knows he's oversighting there. But that second one, he's got to trust somebody enough to give them the keys. You know what I mean? That's the hard part. That's the really hard part about expanding beyond one.
Yeah, man. And, you know, I think food and beverage is like, people are incredibly more critical. One of the best things that ever happened was Yelp, and one of the worst things that ever happened was Yelp, because everybody thinks they're fucking Anthony Bourdain, right? So, and now all of a sudden you have like, you showed up at a place and you're in a bad mood because of whatever happened in your life, and somebody didn't give you water fast enough, so you essentially tank somebody's restaurant online. And how many thousands of people read your shitty review, right? And like, it's such a, so you have to be so on it. And we're all human beings. People make mistakes. People have bad days. So like, you have to be so on it that if your staff slips a little bit, you're able to recover instantaneously and make up for it. And it's such a tricky thing.
Well, you brought up something there too that I think at all levels of business, especially right now, that is difficult, is staffing. You know, with what you have to pay staff, with what, you know, let's just be honest, this next generation of work ethic's not nearly as strong as the previous.
Oh man,
you know what I mean?
It's a very tough thing, and I have a lot of nieces and nephews, man, that I try to lecture a little bit, but everybody, I'll put it to you this way: I had somebody the other day tells me have a guy, a contractor, he was working on my house, and really hard to like, I had to basically bring in a contractor from Miami to Tampa to finish working on my house. I was doing a remodel, and he was like, Eddie, just no one wants to fucking work, man. I was like, but how do they afford life? He's like, dude, it's like, people don't want to leave their house for less than XYZ. They do shitty work. They think they deserve everything. And I'm still very, you know, I think social media has made people impatient in life and set unrealistic expectations for the youth, to think like, oh, I got to be balling, and why am I not a CEO yet? And like, why am I not at your position? I have people always tell me, like, well, how come I can't be at your meeting? It's like, dude, you know the fucking pain I went through to get to this?
Yep.
And yeah, it sucks, but it's the only way I know how to respond to the situations I'm put in, because I had to fuck up and learn the entire time. If the keys were just handed to me, man, I mess up. I mean, it's why they say everybody that wins the lottery has a higher chance of losing it all, because they don't know what it took to earn that money. So they don't know what it's going to take to keep that money.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like today's youth is kind of screwed, really. Like,
And I'll tell you, like right now, and I was telling my niece this the other day. You know, she's just turned 16, and she's got a good work ethic. She wants to come here and work during the summer. And I said, look, I said, if you keep that up and go on and do your thing in the medical field, like with just a good work ethic and just a killer mentality, you will go a very, very long way in this generation, because there's just not as many wolves as there have been prior. And there's a ton of things. Social media.
That is, by the way, that's a topic that I battle consistently here and with a lot of people, because I feel everybody has like parameters of what they consider as an influencer. And I fucking hate that title, but it is what it is. And for me, it's not, I tell people all the time, like, you're here for likes and hugs and thousands of millions of followers. Like, that means nothing. That more than 70% of the people don't even get whatever you post. I mean, none of that. I've had more impact in my business with people that have 2,000 followers than people that have 3 million followers.
Because they're authentic.
Because they're authentic. And if you're really influencing, you're posting stuff that's like, it's not superficial, you know, it's genuine, and there's like depth to whatever topic that you're posting about or engaging in, you know. And it's interesting, man, like, because I know, like, you have the rise of YouTube with AI and everything that's happening, but I feel like YouTube's probably the best platform sometimes, because to do like what we're doing now, or what I've seen or what I follow, like, dude, it takes time, research, skill. You got to be able to talk to people. Like, there's a lot of things that go into every single episode, versus like, let me just post a picture of my booty.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's typical, like, young generation lazy, dude. Like, I don't care, you know, but let me see what's in here, and whatever that subject matter is, whether it's cooking and having a good time. Shit, even if it's comedy, dude, it's not easy to do comedy.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
So like, it's when you start seeing really authentic stuff, for me, it's that's when you really start influencing people. And then of course, reach matters, but you really see reach in like true comment sections.
Yes.
And in shares. And then you start going like,
followers to me don't mean shit. Engagement does. Like, of that audience you have, how many engage with you? How many give a shit about what you just put up? You know, and once again, I don't have a huge following, never have used my social media to create one. I just share shit. And the three things I always say that I think make sense are: be authentic, be vulnerable, and be educational. You know, be educational, like, take something to your community, teach them something. Be vulnerable. Don't make it all FOMO shit. Like, show some of the grit too. Show some of the failure. You know what I mean? And just be authentic. Your profile should be your voice, not somebody else's. And to me, that's the three things that, as when I'm looking at it for my brand or Traeger or any other brand I'm working with, that's what I look at as far as what's a solid account. All right, proud sponsor of the show, better damn well be Whiskey Bent BBQ. So this is a brand that Nicole and I started a little over a decade ago. You can find our rubs and seasonings in about 500 different retail locations throughout the U.S., Academy Sports, Select, Ace Hardwares, then obviously here at our store in Lakeland, Florida. If you want to go check it out, please feel free to. WhiskeyBentBBQ.com, and you can use my discount code OldBoyPodcast for 15% off.
We're entering, like, obviously we're entering this AI era, right? And I'm not going to shit on AI, because yes, it's going to be the future, and there's really ways to use it that's incredible and amazing, but it's also like makes people lazy, and it makes people not use their brains. But I believe, like, I was saying this the other day, I was giving a presentation where I'm like, everybody using AI also opens up another door. And the other door is what I believe the future of luxury is going to be human made. You know, we talk about craft booze or craft this, like no, like this product now, whatever the product is like human made is going to be the new luxury, because it's or the real like small batch,
Human
in
curated.
whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
it's not synthesized to hit your human algorithm. Like, no, this is me genuinely. I took the time, I took the effort to think and put into work. And yeah, there's mistakes, but that's the whole point of small backs. Like, it's just,
Yes.
it's authentic. And I believe that's going to be, if marketed correctly, we could turn that into like the new shit.
No, I think that's a very valid and solid point and a good look to the future for sure. One thing is, God dang, we've almost ran through an hour, old boy. There's a couple things I definitely wanted to talk about. One is, I know you just, you guys just launched a cigar collaboration with DJ D Nice. When you're looking to do that, like, you know, one, why was he the guy you settled on? And two, talk about how that collaborative process goes.
Yeah. So his, you know, that's one that was like really special to me. So I'll take it back to COVID, day one of COVID, right? Literally fucking day one. Remember, like, COVID broke out and they're like, all right, Florida's going to shut down for 2 weeks. And then after these 2 weeks, we're back open, right? Like,
DeSantis is like, we're going to check the box and then we're deleting that bitch.
Yeah. Like, you know, I love him. But like, so that happened and the 2 weeks passed and then it was like, no, everything's shutting down and it's shutting down for real. So we all sat in our office and it's like, as you can imagine, in our world, like, man, the heart and soul of our industry is like mom and pop brick and mortar shops, right? Like that's who we are, man. And a lot of them are retired, you know, people of service. So, so this is a retirement gig. And we sat in here, we're like, fuck, well, how do we help people sell out of all their shit? Because if we could help people sell out of all their shit, two things are going to happen. One, they got to order new shit. Yep. That's cool. But two, they're going to remember that we're the only company that actually said, no, we're not trying to sell you stuff. We're going to try to help you move stuff.
You invested in them.
Right. And it was really an authentic thing. And we jumped on this whole, before everybody got onto the whole like Instagram live stuff. I was literally just thinking of like, hey, let's just host virtual cigar events in private rooms on Facebook. Like Zoom hadn't popped off yet. Like this is like really at the beginning. So like we really went down this path. And then with one of our brands, with Avo, since it was really a lot of focus around music, I was like, man, we could do, people are having parties at home. You know, I come from a nightlife background. I know a lot of big DJs. What if I get this DJ to like get on the Avo Instagram and then people could log in at home and then everyone could have their own party at home and smoke cigars and like,
yeah.
So I went to do that, but simultaneously without knowing, D Nice, who he was a big DJ rapper, but he wasn't like huge, but he was big, you know, he went on and did it on his personal thing. And he called it Club Quarantine. He was the first person to do it. And when he did it, he was like the guy that broke the internet. Like he had 2 million people live at once watching his Instagram. Like it was like monster.
Servers were figuring out what they could do. Servers were like the guy. Test.
He basically crashed Instagram, right? Like the guy, he really got that big. And he's like, his story is incredible. He's like the most humble dude. And he would just, his whole thing was, he wasn't getting bookings, and he was just coming from a heartfelt place of like, how do I just make people feel good, man? Because he was worried about people's mental health and all that kind of stuff. So he's like, I'm gonna just DJ so people have a good time. And so he was doing it. He created a movement, and then at that point, all of that stuff exploded. He started doing live. You know, he monetized at that point. He was doing it live on the NBA's like Instagram, and he was untouchable. He was untouchable. So we did our thing, and like it always made sense. And then one day I go to the Pegasus horse races in Hollywood, Florida, and Pegasus is the largest person horse racing. It's the a lot of big celebrities, a lot of stuff, and we were doing a big Davidoff activation there, and some guy that I know was like, "Yo, you want to meet D Nice?" And I was like, "Oh wait, like the D Nice, like the DJ guy?" He's like, "Yeah, man, he's over there," and he's like, "Hey, the guy is actually a huge cigar guy. Like he doesn't drink, he doesn't do anything. Like he's just down to earth, and he's really humble." He's like, "I think you guys would get along," and we got introduced. And when you're at that level of fame, I mean, that guy's famous, and everybody want to hang out with him. Celebrities want to hang out with him. When the horse races ended, he was like, "Hey, let's go to a cigar lounge," and I was like, "Okay, really? That's what you want to do? Cool, let's go." I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, we got to go." So we're talking, and it kind of hit me, since we were doing like all the same stuff with Avo at the time. I was like, "Man, I'd love to make a cigar with you," because I dug the energy. Everything he was saying was super authentic. It was real. He was really passionate about it. Like we didn't even talk finances or anything. It was just really like two dudes like the stuff. I'd love to take you to the Dominican Republic. I'd love to see you walk the fields. I'd love to see you sit with the old dudes at the blending tables. Like it's really magical.
And you also knew, for a guy like that, he would geek the fuck out over that.
Dude,
like, what an opportunity.
Yeah. So, and that kind of like led to one thing. And then when the collaboration process came about, and we sat down and I said, "Hey, look, I know this. I know that when DJs go to a nightclub or a concert, shit, even bands, right? Because he doesn't even DJ anymore. Like he DJs with like a 16-piece orchestra, and he sells out Carnegie Hall. Like it's like a super amazing thing." I was like, you don't just go hit after hit after hit after hit. Like you're putting people in ebbs and flows of music. Like there's like this whole audio energy going on. So people kind of go on a emotional roller coaster, right? Like, yay and awesome, whatever. I said, cigars are really similar. When we're blending cigars, they're complex. So there's so many transitions of flavors as you enjoy a cigar all the way through. I was like, if we can match the sonic journey that you take people on when you produce something to the flavor journey of when somebody enjoys a cigar, like I think we have like a really cool story, and I think people will really love it. And if they don't love it, at least we're gonna have a good time doing this. So, and yeah, that's what we did. I mean, it took 2 years. I mean, he's incredibly busy. He's traveling all over the planet, constantly DJing, and we fit in time, and we made it down to the factory and in Dominican Republic. And that was, a very high moment in my personal career life, because to be able to knock something out like that and have all the stars align, and it was a lot, but we made it happen, and it was beautiful, and the cigar is phenomenal. I got to send you a box, and it's, we released it, we announced it. Now he's got millions of followers. So we did a limited edition, only 2,500 boxes. It's not much. I mean, we sold out in 4 days.
Damn, that's what you want out of collabs, old boy. That's sweet.
4 days we sold out, and like, we're talking cigars. We're not talking sneakers here, right? So like, it's a very particular, segment of people.
Yes.
And we did it, and the cigars are on the market right now, and they're outstanding. I'm glad we hit a home run with it, and we went into every detail. Like all the boxes have like musical motifs on it, and like it's all wood engraves. It's an outstanding project, and for me, it's also a testament to our commitment of what we're willing to do with the brand to keep things relevant in the circles that we need to be relevant in, versus, oh, we always do things this way, let's do things this way. Like
we've always done it. It's always been successful. Why are we changing it? Because we're fucking evolving. That's why. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah.
Because guess what? The consumer's evolving too. Look at how many brands lived that life.
Mm-hmm.
Blackberry, Palm, so many of them. Oh, we're on top of the world. We've been doing it this way. We don't have to change it. Guess what? There's competitors coming, old boy, and they will eat your ass if you don't make changes and get nimble.
100%. Fuck. I mean, even if it's not competitors, it's just technology. I mean, look at Kodak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, like it's such a evolution, and everything it's always got to happen, man. And I mean, we could go down that pipe forever.
One thing there where you were explaining that collaboration to me, and it's another big part. We talked a lot about lifestyle and brand building, but the story, like when you told me we're going to take that sonic energy and the way you take people through a journey in that nightclub during your set, and we're going to do the same thing with a cigar, that shit made my ears burn. You know what I mean? Like that's when I'm going, oh, got it. And you know what I saw? I saw a nightclub with all these fucking lights going, and I'm sitting back and I'm smoking my cigar, and I'm feeling like I'm taking in what I'm seeing. Like, I haven't even smoked this bitch yet, but I already got a vision of what it should be like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So right there off the bat, that has an elevation of the product before you've even tried it.
100%. Dude, super, super, super cool. We got another collaboration coming out, and it's almost, it's not even a cigar, but we're working with a really famous luxury bag maker. It's the best way to put it. And like the way he manipulates leather, and I want to make like a beautiful leather cigar case.
Yeah.
So the way how, whatever he does professionally, he manipulates leather, but how do I use your talent to hold my products?
Right. Yes.
That's
cool.
He's going to market it to his people, which will be the first time they see something. He does something with cigars. They'll be like, whoa, and what is that?
And what brand did you do it with? Boom. That's
right.
That's reaching that market and getting you more street cred and opening so many eyes up to people that may not have ever considered the brand. But dude, you're cool as fuck because you're working with him.
Correct. And it's kind of like what we spoke about with like the rubs, man. Like how do we do that in spaces that probably would never have seen those products in those spaces before?
Yep.
And it's figuring it all out. And the best part about it is, since it's all authentic from a put yourself as a customer point of view, like, bro, it's not work, it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's pushing yourself. It's not waking up and driving down that same damn road every day to go to go pull a 9 to 5 with the same bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, you're going out and you're doing, one, you're passionate about it and you love it. That's why we're in this industry. That's why we work the hours we do. But two, like, it's always changing. Every day has a different set of challenges, but also a different set of successes and things that make you want to get up and go tackle it for another 15, 16 hours tomorrow.
100%. It's life is interesting, man.
Yes, it is.
It's really what you make of it. The other day, it's I have like these moments now that the older I get, where I'm like, fuck, I used to dream about this as a kid, and like I never stopped pushing, right?
Yeah.
But I almost forgot about the goal because I was just so busy like pushing.
Yes.
Because I listen to David Goggins a lot, so like I love him, and like I always take his whole thing: embrace the suck and push, embrace the suck and push. And then like all of a sudden, like, holy shit, I hit that goal. I didn't even think about, wow, look where we are in life. And it's like, I guess you got to forget about timelines and you just got to go.
Yes.
And no matter how crazy it is, like, dude, you can do whatever. Like, you really can do whatever the fuck you want to do in this world.
Yeah,
it's so strange, but you can.
Yeah, it was interesting. You talk about those moments, and sometimes I don't do a great job of like stepping back and going, "Oh shit, I'm doing this. I can't believe it." But when I had the chance to film those 3 videos with Griffey over in Orlando a couple of months ago before Trigger released them, like we got done with that 3rd video, and like Ken left, and I remember just kind of looking around, and I'm like, "You realize you just shot 3 barbecue videos with the guy you idolized growing up?" You know what I mean?
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it was just like, holy shit. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not a big crier, but I definitely got a little teary eyed. So it was like, dude, it was just this feeling of accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like, dude, this is awesome. And the fact that he genuinely enjoyed it. Trigger did not write Ken Griffey Jr. a check to do that. Ken Griffey Jr. did that because we're buddies. You know what I mean? And that's what, like, to me was so freaking cool about it. Was like,
Yeah.
you know, and I was like, hey, bud, we'll get, you know, I need no more than 6 hours. We'll get 3 videos done in 6 hours with a pro camera crew. I keep my word. We were done in 5.5, old boy. Kept it tight. But,
wow.
But just that kind of stuff is, I got to thank the whole team at Traeger Austin, all the guys that had everything ready so we could go shot for shot. But yeah, having a great team and just saying, we're not going beyond this point, get whatever you can get in this time and we're done. I'm sure he would have hung around, but I just didn't want to break that word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, just there's those kind of things. And I would recommend anybody listen to us to do the same thing. Like, it doesn't have to be a big, huge monumental moment like that, but step back every now and then and realize where you've came and look at that success, because guess what? It's only going to light that furnace even hotter to keep going out there and changing things.
Yeah, yeah, man, I'm with you on that. And it's just funny. I treated the nicest thing when we went to Dominican Republic. Obviously, I had the corporate, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. And I was like, hey, man, guys, I know we're filming this all because we're going to do a mini doc on it, but I want nothing staged. Like,
yes.
And people were looking at me all crazy. And I was like, this guy's traveled all his way from his busy schedule. Like, I need him to feel like the romance of, like, he actually needs to absorb what's happening because it's monumental to him. And so we got to do it authentically. And if we miss some shots by the end of the day, it's just going to be what it is.
Yep.
Because I'm not making them stay.
We'll make the most out of what we get, you know?
And I think that's, you know, what also keeps things authentic, you know?
Yes.
And in the world that we live in, honestly, like, with everything that's being thrown in our face, advertising wise and influencing wise and all that stuff, like, authenticity's like the most tangible, like, worthwhile thing.
It will always win. It will, to me, like, especially as we get more into, like we were talking about earlier, AI, all these different things. People just want to hear from someone they trust and they know is authentic. That's it. They're not out for any other gain than being themselves, doing what they do, and sharing it with others.
Without a doubt.
I love it, man. And then, Eddie, is there anything you want to hit on the way out? Anything you guys got coming up, or where to check things out at? Anything of that nature?
Coming up right now? No, we're continuing to crush hard. I mean, I would keep a lookout for the Camacho tour that we putting on there. So we got the barbecue tour, which is going to hit like the Heritage Fire Festivals, which is going to be awesome. But aside from that, we're going to be a lot of cigar shops all around the country. You know, we're going to spend a lot of time in Colorado, Texas, in the Carolinas. We're there a lot. We're a lot in Georgia. Shit, we're everywhere, to be quite honest. But, you know, our whole thing is really, it's going to be getting good people together, smoking cigars. We're going to be doing a lot of barbecue. We're going to be doing a lot of, like, cool drinking, a lot of cool games. We're going to be giving away a lot of cool stuff. We're going to be giving away some Traegers. You know, that's going to be a blast. That to me is probably what I would look out for, because I don't have any new products until next year. But I would tell you that our products are incredible. So please go and enjoy them. Yeah, man. Other than that, and if you want to check us out, so we have 3 brands. So the one that I was just talking about, on Instagram, it's Camacho Cigars. Check us out. Like, the second you get on there and you see all the content and stuff we put out, you'll understand the brand immediately. The other one is Avo Cigar, AVO cigar. That's singular, not plural. Somebody else took the other one. And then Davidoff Cigars, which is our is our pinnacle and world of luxury, and it's exquisite products. And
what was that delicious cigar we smoked when I was over there last time?
Man, you smoked probably. So it was the Davidoff Year of the Dragon. Is probably
that was
the
the
most
Year of the Dragon. Oh, it was so
highly sought after cigar. Yeah, and highly sought after cigar in the world. You probably could have resold that single cigar for $1,000. But
I know.
Yeah.
But as soon as you guys started telling me, I mean, I was enjoying the shit out of it. I keep telling Eddie and these sales guys, like, that is the best cigar I've ever had in my fucking life. And somebody finally goes, Chad, you know those are like $1,000 on the resale market. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be smoking this.
But you know what? Like, bro, life's fucking short. things are meant
Yeah.
to be smoked, things are meant to be eaten, things are meant to be drank. You know, like
it was a hell of a smoke, man. I'll never forget that one. And all the friendships I got to make that day. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was really good. We should do it again.
We will, man. We will. And Eddie, I thank you so much for the time today, man. You were great. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening to the Old Boy Podcast. Please subscribe, like, set your notifications, whatever you got to do to make sure you're getting the latest episodes. Also, feel free to go back, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, Apple, get some of the past episodes, check those out, and always feel free to check out our socials, Old Boy Podcast. Thank you so much.